Hey everyone. So I wanted to start with a question for this video. Have you ever noticed that when we're experiencing a feeling that we don't want to experience, we turn to things out there? So it's this thing that we're feeling inside of us, in here, and yet when we want to try and get rid of it, numb it, fix it, we go out there. And it's just, I find it really interesting thinking about it like that because to me anyway, that doesn't make sense, right? Like we're experiencing this thing in our bodies, in our, in our minds, it's in us. And yet when we decide that we don't want to feel that, we look for things that are external to us. And that might be in relation to the eating disorder, it might be restricting, it might be binging, it might be exercising. There are all sorts of different things that the eating disorder kind of presents as solutions to those feelings. And if you've watched our videos before, you'll have heard me talk about coping strategies quite a lot, and this cycle that we can often find ourselves in, where we experience a feeling, our mind decides that we don't want to feel that feeling, and then we do something that either distracts us, tries to numb that feeling, or kind of fix it in some way. Then that might give us some temporary relief, but it doesn't resolve it, because actually, well, I'll get to this in a minute, but there's nothing to resolve. And so because that's only a temporary sort of fix, as it were, we end up right back where we started, with that feeling that we don't want to feel. And so we can kind of end up going round and round, and like this is something that I did all the time without even realizing it. My mind did it on autopilot. I wouldn't even have to think about it. I would just, yeah, I wasn't even aware that that was a thing at the time. But I just find it so interesting now, and since I've become aware of that this thing in here, these feelings, they're there to be felt. They're not there to be fixed or numbed or distracted from, because actually we don't need to do that. We've got this, flow of energy through us that we label as different kind of feelings and emotions, and that's just part of being human. And yet we decide, or our mind decides, that actually some are okay and some are not. And those ones that end up in the not category, our mind then finds those things out there, pretty far away from the actual where the feeling is being experienced, to provide this kind of solution. But what I really want to just kind of, I guess, bring to light is just reinforcing that message that we don't need to fix our feelings. We don't need to look out there to find a solution to what is a really, really human thing. And I totally get that, when those feelings start to feel overwhelming, we maybe feel like we can't cope, or that we just don't want to experience that. We just want to run away from it, or just block it, or just do anything. And I totally get that, because I have been there many, many times, like particularly throughout my eating disorder. But I think once we can, or certainly once I started to see those feelings as something that things that are so natural to feel, I stopped becoming so afraid of them. And like, I was afraid of so many of those feelings. But I think once I started to feel less afraid and started to see that actually I was okay when I allowed those feelings to be felt and for that energy to pass through me, like I got through that. And actually they tended to pass a whole lot quicker when I just allowed them than when I would go through that cycle, kind of constantly batting them away, and then they come back around. And I think it's, yeah, once I started to feel less afraid, then those coping strategies just stopped making sense. It's like they were no longer serving a purpose. And that for me was a huge weight off my shoulders. It's like I was able to stop doing so much. I was able to then just be so much more. You know, I was able to just allow what needed to be felt to be felt. I didn't have to do anything to run away or numb or fix. And for me that was so freeing. And it's something that, you know, I just have I experience now, you know. It's just I allow myself to feel whatever I need to feel, and it's not always comfortable. You know, I experience, you know, feelings of anxiety and worry and feeling overwhelmed from time to time, and that's okay. Again, that's just part of being human. So I just wanted to share that and just see what comes up for you, if any of that resonates. And I'd love you to share your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.